Namaste. Good evening to all the participants and Easy Ayurveda family. Welcome to Easy Ayurveda Gurukula, episode 27. So today, Dr. Harishankar MS is with us to present a very unique and interesting topic, friends. Maybe really unique for many of us, and a new topic as well. So on behalf of all the participants and our Easy Ayurveda family, may I take the privilege of cordially welcoming Dr. Harishankar to Easy Ayurveda Gurukula platform. Namaste and welcome, Harishankar sir. So before letting over the dais to Dr. Harishankar for his presentation on an interesting topic, as I already said, may introduce him in brief. So completed his undergraduation and also both post-graduation from SDM College of Ayurveda, Hassan. So very good academician and a practitioner, Dr. Harishankar is. So has guided many yoga and meditation sessions, very important and integral part of his branch, Swastha. And as we know, very popular worldwide, yoga and meditation sessions. People love to be a part of that. And Dr. Harishankar is a very good teacher of yoga and meditation as well. Conducted pilot studies from nutraceuticals to parenteral route, Brahmana Basti in Karshia. So has expertise in diet advice and also customizing the Panchakarma protocols for different diseases, and is a very good organizer of events. Dr. Harishankar published many of his works in scientific journals and in the form of articles. The important ones being Yavasaktu with Takra as Patya in Madhumeha, a review, and 11 things Ayurveda recommends for better diet and lifestyle. Sir also has presented many papers and posters. Dr. Harishankar previously worked at SDMTS Ayurveda Medical College, Terdal in Karnataka, so India, and also Reverse Age Health Services Private Limited, New Delhi, A.L.N. Rao Ayurveda Medical College, Koppa, Karnataka. So currently serving as Assistant Professor, Department of Swastha in the prestigious Parul Institute of Ayurveda, Parul University, Gujarat. So today Dr. Harishankar will be presenting on the topic, an introduction to Panchakosha Siddhantha. So may I now invite Dr. Harishankar for his presentation and hand over the dais to him. Dr. Harishankar, it's all over to you.
Welcome everyone. So today I'll be discussing on a topic that is Panchakosha Theory. So the Panchakosha Theory is actually a very vast information. So what I will try to do is I'll try to concise it and I'll try to explain it as much as possible, and I hope everyone will understand. So before starting, in Ayurveda, we all know that it is not just the disease that we needs to be treated, right? So basically we treat as a whole person, not just the disease. So for the better treatment of a disease, the knowledge regarding the Panchakosha is very much important. Let's start with the topic, Panchakosha theory and introduction. Moving on to the slides. So basically the Panchakoshas are Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha and Anandamaya Kosha. So as an introduction, we all know yoga is an ancient Indian science and a way of life which brings about relaxation and also induces a balanced mental state. Yoga practices intent act at physical, emotional, intellectual, and even at the spiritual level. This yoga program is derived from the principles in the ancient texts like Patanjali's Yoga Sutra and Taittiriya Upanishad, which emphasize that yoga should promote health at all levels. So as we all know that yoga is not just a asanas or pranayama, it is basically a way of lifestyle. So basically yoga includes eight part, that is Ashtanga yoga. They are yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana and samadhi. So when we study yoga, it is also important to know all these 8 parts also. So according to Vedanta philosophy, there are basically 3 frames or types of body enveloping the soul, and it consists of 5 interpenetrating and interdependent sheaths. They are nothing but the 5 Panchakoshas that I have mentioned before. These sheaths form the basic anatomy of the body as per yoga philosophy. So you all know that as per modern science, we know human anatomy, human physiology, right? So as per Ayurveda, we will be dealing with Rajana Sharira or Kriya Sharira. So in when it comes to yoga philosophy, it is more of a holistic approach. So here we'll be dealing with the Atma and its coverings. So these sheaths or coverings are nothing but the Panchakoshas. Moving on the three shareeras. So first is the Stula Sharira, the gross frame or anatomical sheath. Next is the Sukshma Sharira, the subtle frame or consisting of the physiological, psychological and intellectual sheath. Third is the Karana Sharira, which is the causal frame, that is also called as the spiritual seat. So basically, in yoga philosophy, the whole body is divided into three. The first is the stula sharira, that is the gross or gross part that we can feel, we can see. So for an example, skeleton, muscles, etc. So next is the second sharira is the sukshma sharira, which is more of a subtle framework. So here it comes the, we can say, it is more of the at cellular level of approach. And third is the Karana Sharira or the causal body. So Karana Sharira is mainly the reason. What is the why we have to live? That is called as, that can be called as a Karana. So why we have to live? So basically, Karana Sharira can be understood as the seed for living or death. So from Karana Sharira, we can say Stula and Sukshma Sharira, of course. And when dies, Karana Sharira remain, and there where there we say the Atma persists mostly in the Karana Sharira. The thing is, the Karana Sharira is eternal. So these, for an example, I have just shown a picture of the gross body, Sukshma gross body of Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and the Karana Sharira. Karana Sharira, here I have mentioned like heart. It's not the heart, it's about the manas and the Atma. So it is kind of like a seed which can grow to Stula and Sukshma Sharira. So yes, moving to the title of today's talk, Panchakosha. So these are the five interconnecting sheaths. They are once again Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha. This Annamaya Kosha is again, it is a physical body. Pranamaya Kosha can be understood as energy body. Manomaya Kosha can be understood as mind body. And Vijnanamaya Kosha is wisdom body. And finally, Anandamaya Kosha is the bliss body. So what is a kosha? So from the beginning, I'm saying five sheaths, five koshas. So what is this kosha? Kosha is nothing but, kosha is referred as a sheath, one of the five covering of the Atma or self according to Vedantic philosophy. So according to kosha system in yogic philosophy, the nature of being human encompasses physical and psychological aspect that function as one holistic system. The kosha system refers to these different aspects as layers of subjective experience. Layers range from dense physical body and more subtle level of emotions, mind and spirit. Atma is wrapped inside the Panchakosha. So again, we can say kosha is just a covering. Covering for what? Covering the Atma. So as I said, the whole body can be understood into three sharira. That is Stula, Sukshma and Karana. So these Stula, Sukshma and Karana constitute an interlinking sheath or interlinking layer. That is the five koshas or five layers which covers the Atma. Okay. So that, so what here I want to mention here is, so Atma is actually a eternal thing. we can't cover the Atma. Atma is not just, we can't cover or protect with these five layers. To understand more, we'll at the end of this session, you may come to a conclusion or you may understand why we can't just cover that. Next is we'll move on to the understanding of the Panchakoshas. So first is the Annamaya Kosha. So before going to the Panchakosha, before going to in detail with each kosha, I would like to mention here how this Panchakosha reference come into existence. So this Panchakosha theory was first explained in the Taittiriya Upanishad. So where Taittiriya Upanishad is a conversation between a father and a son. Where the father is the Varuna and son is the Bhrigu. Here the conversation starts like son will be having many doubts. How our students or our small children ask many questions to us. Like that, in the same way, even Bhrigu asked a question to Varuna. That is, what exactly is universe? For that, Varuna have told that you do one thing, you go to a quiet place and do tabas. Once you succeed the tabas, you will get the answer. So after many years, Bhrigu came with an answer that is the universe is made of Anna. So hearing this, father or the Varuna said that, and you are right. Uh, Anna is also a prime factor in the formation of a universe, but it is not just the one. At least you have find out the first principle of how this universe is formed. So that is Anna. So Annamaya Kosha also have a Anna, right? So Annamaya Kosha is basically of two words, Anna and Kosha. So Anna means food and Kosha means sheath. So Annamaya Kosha in the Panchakosha, it is the first layer and the outermost layer of the kosha. It is called as the sheath of food. This is a gross physical body. Annamaya Kosha is a matter in the form of physical body sustained by the intake of food. We all know that for every human being, food is very much needed, right? For sustaining of the life for all living beings, food is a necessary part. In Annamaya Kosha, it includes five Jnanendriya and five Karmendriya. This sheath has the most dense and slow vibrational frequency. This body cannot exist without the contact with the other koshas. The personality of the individual, that is physic, as well as the trait, depend on the condition of Annamaya Kosha. The physic in the next birth is decided by the state of Annamaya Kosha of earlier births. Annamaya Kosha is a materialistic realization. Through this layer, man identifies himself with a mass of skin, flesh, fat, bones, and a filth. This is considered as a cage of flesh and blood in terms of spiritual world. Includes the digestive system of the body, and it can be purification, refinement, and development of Annamaya Kosha is possible through the method of Upavasa, Yogasana, Sattva Shuddhi, and Tapas. So as I told, Annamaya Kosha, which is nourished with the help of Anna, with the food. So here we have mentioned the yoga asanas, upavasas, etc. because yoga asanas and upavasas makes the body light and the whole visible part of the body constitute the Annamaya Kosha. That is why we have mentioned Yogasana as a purification and refinement and development of the Annamaya Kosha. So moving on to the second kosha, it is the Pranamaya Kosha. Pranamaya Kosha is the sheath composed of prana, the vital principle or the force that holds together the body and the mind. Its physical manifestation is breath. As long as the vital principle exists in the organism, life continues. Everything in the body moves only with the help of Vata. Same in Ayurveda also. We know how important Vata is. So prana is also among the Pancha Vata. So, and what and all things which is moving can be constituted under the Pranamaya Kosha. Its physical manifestation, we can say it is the breath. So, yogic literature mentions the presence of more than 72,000 pathways along which the prana moves in the body. These pathways are nothing but nadis and interconnect the energetic centers or chakras in the body. Even though the form of this sheath is subtle, it is very similar to the form of the physical body. Three of the important nadis are Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. Sushumna is the most important because Kundalini passes through this nadi. So all these structures are constituted with the energy of prana. So this Pranamaya Kosha also includes respiratory, circulatory, nervous, endocrine, excretory, and genital system. Pranamaya Kosha can be developed or can be restrained or by Pranamaya Kosha, acupuncture, Reiki, and magnetotherapy. Moving on to the next kosha, it is the Manomaya Kosha. Manomaya means one which is composed of manas or mind. The mind, along with the five sensory organs, that is taste, smell, vision, hearing, touch. These sensations can be understood with the help of the Manomaya Kosha. It is also understood as the mind sheath. The Manomaya Kosha is the mental faculty that receives all the sensory inputs, interprets them as good or bad, and decides the good. So this is an aspect where the mind carries its wide range of functions like perception, ego, lust, love, hatred, jealousy, respect, anger, memory, and all sorts of emotion. So here in Manomaya Kosha, it is also, it consists of the five, as I said, it consists of the five sensory organs or jnanendriyas, and what it helps to perceive the senses. But the thing is, it doesn't know how to differentiate between good and bad. So it interprets them as good or bad, but the thing is, Manomaya Kosha always want to desire more. So it desires only the good things. It is also the seat of one's pleasure, pain, and diversity. It belongs to the Sukshma Sharira. Manomaya Kosha is a person's mental and emotional library, a subtle layer of one's existence. Hence, the statement, you are what you think you are. Many modalities of treatment like aroma, music, color, etc. works in this kosha. So here what we have to understand is it is regarding the mind. Where the mind situated, we can say it is in the Manomaya Kosha. So here what we what we actually want. So we want to be happy, right? We want to be in a pleasant atmosphere or in a pleasant way of thinking, right? So all these are interlinked with the manas. So that is why the modalities of treatment like aromatherapy, aroma means good sense or good smell, good music, good color, all this helps to calm our mind, thereby it promotes this kosha. So this is an image which differentiates between the brain and the mind. So there is many sayings that mind or how we think is mainly of brain, right? The actual side of this manas is actually a question mark. So manas, as I said before, it will always desire for good things. It will be always having a infatuation towards the good things. When whereas the brain, it always thinks first, which is good and which is bad. So next, when I said about the brain, next is the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Brain and Vijnanamaya Kosha we can correlate because Vijnanamaya Kosha means which is a sheath which is composed of Vijnana or intellect, the faculty which discriminates, determines, and wills. It is the sheath composed of more intellection associated with the organs of perception. So that is the main difference. So here, Vijnanamaya Kosha, with the help of the knowledge, we will discriminate which is good and which is bad, and we will select which is good for our living. Okay. For an example, we know ice cream is good, and we also like to have ice creams daily. So, and we also know that if we eat ice creams in a daily basis, you'll get cold. So, what Vijnanamaya Kosha does is Vijnanamaya interprets in this, and it will make that stop eating ice creams daily. So, Vijnanamaya Kosha knows that if we eat ice cream in a daily basis, then we will get a disease. So that is why this discrimination comes between the Vijnanamaya Kosha and Manomaya Kosha. When we think of eating ice creams on a daily basis, that is the Manomaya Kosha's interpretation. And when we stop eating ice cream, because we know that when we eat ice cream in a daily basis, that difference is called, that difference is because of the Vijnanamaya Kosha. So when one closes the eyes and relaxes during meditation, the functioning of Manomaya Kosha becomes minimum. The Vijnanamaya Kosha comes in the front and gets active. In the final stage of meditation, the intellect becomes stable and mind becomes still, and this is considered as Samadhi in yoga. Meditation, when used as a therapeutic tool, works in the Vijnanamaya Kosha. So, when we, for understanding this, once again, I have to take this knowledge about the yoga. Basically, yoga is of 8 parts, starting from the yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So let's take the second half. Pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. What pratyahara does it is pratyahara is nothing but the withdrawal of senses from a object, and dharana is controlling this to a more time. Dhyana is when we control or concentrate all these senses to a single point, that is dhyana, and that is nothing but the meditation. Here we are controlling all our senses to a single point, and that is why in the final stage of meditation, the, our intellect becomes stable and mind becomes still and helps to attain the samadhi. And one more thing is, these Panchakoshas are among the Panchakosha. This kosha or this Vijnanamaya kosha makes human differ from the that of the animals, because humans have the ability to think. And another example to understand Vijnanamaya kosha is, you own a nice house, a car, a good family, and you are happy in your small world. All this will remain forever, and obsessing on them is an illusion. So understanding that all this is temporarily mine, and what to actually focus on and obsess on in life is reality. That is Vijnana. Having the understanding of what is actually right and wrong is reality. Thinking that everything which is surrounded among yourself is permanent, that that knowledge is not correct. So understanding that everything around you is temporary, and living with a life in a reality is called as Vijnana or knowledge. So this knowledge or this comes with the understanding of the Vijnanamaya Kosha. So next is the Anandamaya Kosha. It is the innermost kosha which is in close proximity with the soul. In Advaita Vedanta, the Anandamaya Kosha is the innermost of the 5 koshas or sheaths that covers the Atma. It constitutes the Karana Sharira. As I said, Karana Sharira, it is an eternal thing, so it does not get destroyed. In the same way, Anandamaya Kosha is the last covering of the Atma. It is the sheath of joy, experience of being aware of oneself, and it is felt by the sadhaka when he wakes after a deep, refreshing sleep, and when he is totally absorbed in the object of his meditation. So, sadhaka means the students. When one can experience the Anandamaya Kosha is when a person wakes up after a deep sleep. So then our state of mind will be relaxed, or we will be happy. All this happy feeling and relaxed feeling is the factors of Anandamaya Kosha. So that is how we can understand the Anandamaya Kosha. So Ananda means what? Ananda means happy. So you have to be, this sheet basically says that the happiness or such sort of emotions comes under this sheet. This kosha is a reflection of 3 divine qualities of soul or manas, namely Tat, Chit, and Ananda. Tat means that it believes in the truthfulness and its eternalness. Chitta means that it is alive and conscious and can therefore interact with the various situation in appropriate way. Ananda, it is ever joyful or full of pleasure in itself, and it does not need any outside stimulus to be cheerful. So these are the three emotions or three defined qualities of Atma, that is Sat, Chitta and Ananda. So these are the Panchakoshas. Now I'll give an example how this Panchakosha works. So moving on to an overview. In the process of singing name of a god, there are various stages or center of activity. So firstly, there is a voluntary movement of the tongue, which is a part of Annamaya Kosha. If we say O, so we have to pronounce it, right? So for pronunciation, tongue is very much important. The tongue have to voluntarily move when we have to think, right? Like I want to chant Om. So tongue will automatically or voluntary move and pronounce that word. So for that, tongue is a part of Annamaya Kosha. And this is powered by the life force called as Pranamaya Kosha. As I said in explanation of Pranamaya Kosha, everything which can be related to Pranamaya Kosha. So for moving of the tongue or giving energy supply to the tongue, Pranamaya Kosha is important. But there has to be a wish for the movement of tongue, which is the form of Manomaya Kosha. So first, simply we can't just chant Om, right? For that we have to have a determination, right? So that for that Manomaya Kosha is important. Then there has to be a doer or karta who is ready to chant the Omkara. So or any god's name. That is Vijnanamaya Kosha. The name of the god has to be uttered with deep love, respect, dedication. Then it becomes a joyful experience of happiness that comes from the Anandamaya Kosha. Like if we close our eyes and after taking a deep breath, if we say Om, after finishing of that Om, we'll have a relaxation or we'll have a moment of happiness. So that comes from the Anandamaya Kosha. This is just an introduction of Pancha Koshas. Now let's see the what are the applicability of Panchakosha. Annamaya Kosha. Through this sheath, the fruit taken in our body gets absorbed and assimilated. When the person takes Hita Ahara, it helps in the development of an individual. Whenever a person consumes Ahita Ahara, then the Annamaya Kosha gets vitiated. This leads to the impairment of Agni and causes diseases. Here, Hita Ahara is food which is good for our health, and Ahita Aharas are foods which are not good for our health. So next is the Pranamaya Kosha. Pranamaya Kosha, this sheath is identified with the breathing. By this, prana and the body and mind are held together. The correction of this can be done by the practicing of pranayama. One who follows proper rhythmic pattern of slow, deep breathing will strengthen the respiratory system, smoothen the nervous system, reducing the craving. And when desires and craving diminishes, then the mind is free and becomes a vehicle of concentration. This is the way. This way, I just try to interpret how a proper inhalation or proper or sukha pranayama have to be dealt. So next is the Manomaya Kosha. So every person would have had been under some kind of stress in their daily life. When the person is unable to withstand the stress, then the function of mind are hampered. In order to maintain the calmness of the mind, even in stressful conditions, there are certain therapies like aromatherapy, music therapy, pleasant clothing, meditation, etc., which soothe, relax, and thereby help in good thought processing. So, the main factor is our mind should be calm. Only with a calm mind will have a sound health. So next is the Vijnanamaya Kosha. This kosha can exist in the connection with manas and panchendriya. When a person develops intellect, he is able to make out what is wrong and what is right. So this kosha can be corrected by means of meditation to relax the mind, which has a role in the Vijnanamaya Kosha, and also psychotherapy or counseling is helpful in correcting this kosha. Dharana, Dhyana plays a major role in Vijnanamaya Kosha. As I said before, when one person is in dharana means extending the concentration towards a point. Dhyana is trying to dive into that way of meditation, or I can say as it's a way of meditation. So I have interpreted the image of a brain for depicting the Vijnanamaya Kosha. So there is coordination, perception, planning, control, generation, thinking, sense, memory, emotions, attention. So all these are nothing but the attributes of Vijnanamaya Kosha. Last is the Anandamaya Kosha. This is the kosha which is active when the person is happy and cheerful. All those good deeds which make a person happy can be done to correct the vitiation of this dosha. Here, concept of Santhosha can be brought into discussion. Santhosha is the contentment that has to be cultivated. Vairagya and Abhyasa are the major tools in Anandamaya Kosha. Vairagya is avoiding of the things which are bad, and Abhyasa is practice. So let's move on to the conclusion. The ultimate goal of human life is come out of the Annamaya Kosha and remain in Vijnanamaya Kosha and for the most of the times, and progressively moves into the Anandamaya Kosha, that is a state of blissful, and finally comes out of all the bindings to attain moksha. So that is why in the beginning I have said that it is very difficult to understand that Atma is covered by the five layers, right? At the finally, what the Atma does is it always try to comes out of the body to attain moksha. So for getting this moksha easy, for understanding the concept of moksha easy, the knowledge of Panchakoshas can help. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harishankar, for a wonderful topic and the presentation of such a topic, which is also rare for most of us, unique for one of us. Right at the beginning itself, I said, and to understand these things is a difficult concept because it involves spirituality, a lot of spirituality with this. And when we go layer by layer, so like we feel there is a connection. And the very interesting part of this presentation or this topic Panchakosha is we feel there is a connection, but how, why, where, when are these koshas located? Are these imaginary planes, or the sheaths, or the shells, as you said? How things are operating at anatomical, physiological, spiritual, as you said, intellectual, psychological, various levels, the way you classified them into Sthula, Sukshma, and also Karana, Sharira. And then took us into the tour of Panchakoshas, how these Panchakoshas are assembled, and what is the importance of each kosha, what are they made up of, how they're interrelated. At the beginning of your introduction itself, you said there is a crossover, or each layer is deeply connected, interwoven with each other, how they are interconnected. And finally, what are the implications? How do we understand them? How do we work over them? So that's a wonderful presentation, Dr. Hari. So thanks for your wonderful presentation. One question, Dr. Hari Shankar. Are these imaginary sheets, okay, except the physical body, you said, which belongs to Annamaya Kosha, which also has the indriyas in it, the non-indriyas and karmendriyas. Indriyas are also again connected to the more subtle layers or the sheets.
Yes.
Are the Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya sheets, are these sheets more over imaginary planes which are documented on the basis of basic intelligence, how we scan it, human body, mind, soul, intellect, senses, all those interconnections to understand that? Has it been a part of the spiritual science? Or how do we understand this from a modern perspective. How easy is it to convince, being a yoga teacher, for anybody, how easy is it or how tough is it to convince that there are these koshas? And question number two, not making it longer, has anybody experienced the energy levels at these koshas?
So, moving on to the first question. So, understanding these layers is very difficult. So, that is why, in case of when I said the Pranamaya Kosha, it is Pranamaya Kosha, we can say it is more of a energy moving. So, we can only understand it as the like in breathing, or in case of circulation, or in case of nerve stimulus. Oh, that can be that is the only way we can understand. So this is said Pranamaya Kosha. So that is what is my understanding. Same for the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Vijnanamaya Kosha is, it is the D or intellect. So once a person gets that D or kind of intellect to differentiate which is right and which is wrong, so there we can see the presence of the Vijnanamaya Kosha. And in case of the Manomaya Kosha, as I said, all the things are related with the manas or mind. So moving in that way, the health of mind is also very important. Mental health. So in that aspects, we can understand Manomaya Kosha.
That makes sense, Dr. Hari. The question number two was, have you guided people to like work on these energies in your clinical practice? Number one, have you personally experienced being a yoga teacher and also from Swastaruta department? That what do they really mean for you, and have you tried to explore in your deep self about these koshas? Number two, and have you seen the impact in yourself or your clients working on these particular koshas? Like, see, there is a psychiatric condition, there is a mind condition which is very difficult to treat. There are so many conditions. We take Unmada Chikitsa, Apasmara Chikitsa, which has been explained in Charaka, Sushruta, or Vagbata, or Atatva Vinivesham Chikitsa, or Manohasrota Dushti Chikitsa. We implement so many theories, and in spite of that, when we don't get results. Do you feel that that is a point where we need to explore these koshas and see if there are deep stains on these koshas? And counseling becomes a very important part here, where you can guide that these, because a person who is mentally disturbed might not accept might not have patience to sit and hear or listen patiently to these theories of the koshas and how to work on them. How challenging scenario is this? I'll make it short. So your experience with the koshas, number one, and your experience of koshas as a yoga practitioners on your clients, number two, and so working out on them, how it has been challenging affair.
So as we say in Ayurveda, so Ayurveda is mostly a holistic science, right? So when we go through a holistic way of approach, the understanding of Panchakosha will help more to understand in which layer or which aspect the disease is occurred. So in case, for an example, if a asthma patient comes to us, then we know that there is a problem with the breathing, or they'll be having a problem with the normal breathing. So for understanding that, if we know Panchakosha, and when this can be correlated with the Pranamaya Kosha, so we can correct the Pranamaya Kosha. Pranamaya Kosha, as I said before, it can be trained or it can be corrected with the help of the pranayama. Again, in pranayama is a main thing, or it's a breathing exercise or more of a breathing style which helps or which can cure most of the asthmas. And it is said that when the pranayamas are done in a proper way, it can cure most of the diseases. So that is what I have understood with this Pranamaya Kosha interpretation.
Thank you there, Dr. Hari. We have a few questions here.
Yes.
Just before that, whatever you explained is slight clarification. If a patient of a respiratory ailment like asthma or something, bronchitis, example, has come to the clinic of a physician who may or may not be a Swastarutta expert or a yoga expert, do you feel as an Ayurvedic doctor, the approach should be biphasic? Like I treat the patient on the basis of treating a kasa, shwasa, or yakshma. I'll follow the strategy and try to treat that particular patient. At the same time, the Pranamaya Kosha needs to be healed. The Annamaya Kosha needs to be healed. The dietetic pattern corrections and also the breathing techniques and also the pranayama, the yogas, all those things should be advised. So a combination of both these things, like a Kai Chikitsa approach through Kasa Shwasa Chikitsa, etc., and also through the Shodhana, etc., Prakriyas, whatever we are doing, and
Understanding
looking,
the
yeah,
holistic.
yes, understanding the holistic. If we approach from multidimensional ways, is it what you exactly want to tell? Like when we add holistic approach to the
Yes,
classical treatment, it will give more good results.
yes,
Thank you
exactly.
so much. Yeah, Swapna ji, before taking the questions, Swapna ji has raised hands. Kindly go ahead and you can have a talk with Dr. Harishankar.
So I do want to understand what is Abhyasa and Vairagya. Abhyasa, it's like it's there is a sutra, right? Abhyasa Vairagyam Tannirodha. So to stop the vrittis, Patanjali says we can have Abhyasa and Vairagya. Abhyasa, which is the practice. Whatever mental modifications are there, so we have to study the mind and stop it with the practice. But Vairagya, it's Drishtanastravika Vishay Vitrishnasta Vashikara Sangna Vairagyam. So consciousness of self mastery. So this is where I want to understand what is the mastery over there. To stop the vrittis, that means we have to be totally detached with the world, or whatever we are seeing the world like a double arrowed attention, right? Like we see the world but still we be to ourselves. So is that the way we be in the world but we be detached, or we constantly go like tasya vachaka pranavaha tajapastadatta bhavanam, like we have to be constantly to ourselves and do the pranava with the bhavartha, means being in that meaningfulness. So whether we be outside, and even though we be outside of external world, we internalize ourselves, or we just totally do vairagya, which is like we stop all the cravings and whatever objects are seen and heard, like in the sutra says. Could you please clarify?
So in Anandamaya Kosha, in the Anandamaya Kosha, for the betterment, we have explained that Vairagya and Abhyasa. So here, basically, the Vairagya means detachment or dispassion. So when there is a detachment from the from the outside or desire, then we will get a clarity in the mind, and there will be happiness in the mind. So that is what, in general or in short, what is Vairagya can be understood in another Kosha. And by Abhyasa, it is the practice of the same, detaching yourself and concentrating on what is happy. That Abhyasa can also improve the Anandamaya Kosha. That is in simple and short, we can understand.
So we'll take up a few questions, Dr. Hari, from the question box. Anjana Bhargavaji asks, when you say that physics depends upon Annamaya Kosha of earlier births, could you please clarify this and give an example if possible? Hari, sir?
In the philosophy of yoga, it is said that the Annamaya Kosha remains the framework for the next birth. So that is there is always a part of Karna Sharira in all the other two Shariras also. Even though Annamaya Kosha is a Sthula Sharira, there is also a part of Karna Sharira. That is the part which is transferred to the further life. So that is what my understanding.
Do you mean to tell Dr. Hari that it's the Annamaya Kosha which is carried over for the next birth, and the other koshas will not be?
So as Annamaya Kosha refers, so it is the framework, it is most of the gross body. So how the body should be will be decided with the Annamaya Kosha. We say when the chromosomes of the chromosomes decide whether it is a man or it is a male or female. In the same way, Annamaya Kosha will help in deciding how the next life will be.
Okay, so understood there. Again, difficult concepts to understand here, deep philosophical concepts. The question remains, Dr. Hari, a small clarification if you can give. The physical body of an individual in this janma or this birth depends on the Annamaya Kosha of the previous birth. Okay. Does it mean to tell that in this janma or in this birth, I have the Annamaya Kosha from my previous birth, but the other koshas will be independent of that?
Yes, with the with the food itself, that helps in the growing the other koshas. So basically, Annamaya Kosha will remain, and the remaining koshas will be according to that of the Annamaya Kosha.
But those koshas need not
may not be the same as that of the
previous birth. Okay, so that's the clarification. And Vasanta Reddy madam has a question here. The order in which you talked about the sheaths seem intriguing. The Anandamaya Kosha seems to be far removed from the body and mind. Can you explain this?
Basically, when we explain the Panchakoshas, it is like a concentric circles. The outside part to outside to inwards. If we consider it as a core, it's like the core is the Atma and the remaining is the Panchakosha. The covering is the Panchakosha. So it is from outside to inwards. So outside is the Annamaya Kosha, second layer is the Pranamaya Kosha, third layer comes the Manomaya Kosha, fourth comes the Vijnanamaya Kosha, and fifth comes the Anandamaya Kosha, which is really in close contact with the Atma.
Yeah, the chronological order of the koshas, as Dr. Harishankar explained. So I would like to repeat. So there is, it should be read from outwards to inwards. So like the Annamaya Kosha is the outermost and the Anandamaya Kosha is the innermost. And the Anandamaya Kosha is the closest one to the Atma, covering the Atma. And the other layers are outer to those things. And the outest, that is the outermost being the Annamaya Kosha. Vasanta Reddy madam?
Got it, sir. Thank you very much. Because I was thinking that the sheath should be whatever corresponds to Annamaya Kosha should be closer to the body, but it looks like there is more subtle, what should I say, arrangement, and the closest, the innermost being Atma. Thank you very much for the explanation.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Dr. Harishankar. I think that is the question. We have Anjana Bhargavaji's question, one more. When we want to fix Annamaya Kosha, can we do that starting with Vijnanamaya Kosha and then working respectively with other Kosha? I think it's a similar question. So if you want to fix, if you want to treat Annamaya Kosha or some problems arising there, can we start working from Vijnanamaya Kosha and go outwards? I think that is the basic idea of the question.
Yes, here the Vijnana, as I said, the Annamaya Kosha is it is the outermost layer. It is not just we have to treat only the Annamaya Kosha. So the understanding of Vijnanamaya Kosha and Annamaya Kosha is entirely different. So all the things which includes the body or what is the gross part of the body can be understood in the Annamaya Kosha, and Vijnanamaya Kosha basically constitute the knowledge. So first of all, we should have knowledge to treat or to understand there is a problem in the Annamaya Kosha. The thing is, all these layers are interconnected. So understanding this thing is also very important.
Okay, first understand what's the problem in Annamaya Kosha, and then we can work it outwards and try to rectify the Annamaya Kosha. So that should be.
You will understand what is the problem only when the Vijnanamaya Kosha is proper.
Is proper.
So that is the correlation between them.
So that is the point where we take right decisions and come up with a proper plan. Is it, Dr. Harishankar?
Yes.
Yeah. Next question of Anjana Bhargavaji is, I think it is answered again with that question, especially when somebody is suffering with Annamaya Kosha. So as Dr. Harishankar has been telling that these are the interwoven and interconnected chains, like all koshas are connected with each other. So working on one will definitely have an impact on the other. So coming to Vikramji's question, my understanding of Vijnanamaya Kosha is that it is made up of two words, Vishesha Gyan or special knowledge of the body, and it is a non-physical dimension. Your thoughts on this, Dr. Hari? Vijnanamaya Kosha is Vigyan, so that is Vishesha Gnana or special knowledge of the body, and it is a non-physical dimension.
Yes, yes. Actually, when I said about the Vijnanamaya Kosha, I have explained it. So Vijnanamaya Kosha is more of a intellectual base of, and it is most of a karma sharira kind of understanding. So yes, it is about the knowledge.
It is that way. Thank you. I think it arrives when one has access to chitta or the portion of the mind unsullied by the past memory. So I think that's the basic thing what Dr. Harishankar wanted to address. And Lakshmi, Sriramji, Vikramji, if you want to give more clarity to your question, you can interact with Dr. Harishankar. Lakshmi, Sriramji, no desire, then how there is a detachment? Okay. How there is detachment in a person where there is no desire? Harishankar, Dr. Harishankar. Interesting question.
So desire in the sense desire for the worldly mons, like worldly, what I have.
No, the question is if there are desires, we think about detachment. If a person doesn't have desires, so what about such people?
So desire, yeah, desire is mostly a laukika sukha, right? So detaching from that is what I mentioned.
Okay. So, okay. So when there is attachment, we speak about the detachment. So that's right one. So coming to the end of this particular session, one more question before we end the session, Dr. Harishankar.
Yes.
Working on these different koshas, is it uniphasic? Like you said, the koshas should be understood from outer side to inner side. So like starting from the Annamaya to the Anandamaya Kosha. What would there be a fixed pattern of working on these koshas? Like as you said, working on one kosha might not help. If we need to reach the deeper koshas, we need to work and assemble the other koshas also. Working from Annamaya Kosha to Anandamaya Kosha is the right approach, or does it have a unidirection? Or the other way is also to work from Anandamaya Kosha towards Annamaya Kosha. And there was a beautiful question whether we can start from Vijnanamaya Kosha. You have already answered. Or depending on what problems that given person is having at different level, we should choose the route from inner to outward or outer to inward. So both methods can be followed depending on the situation or the conditions from which a particular person is suffering from. How do you put it?
So this Panchakosha is basically just an understanding. So first understanding which part of the body or which area you're having a problem, understanding that and try to incorporate this Panchakosha knowledge so that we can come to a really good conclusion, or we can interpret in that way also.
Okay, thank you there, Dr. Hari. Anandamaya Kosha was an interesting part of all the koshas. All koshas are have some deep characteristic features in them which explain themselves. Anandamaya Kosha, how easy to be, say, happiness is sometimes not the bliss to reach to that particular point. As already we said, when there is no attachment, how detachment, there was a question from Lakshmi Sriramji. The question is how easily available is the happiness, that eternal happiness or the bliss, what we can call it as, almost like I'm not attached to many things, so I am really happy. I'm at the point of bliss. So how does a person go to this particular point? And living in a modern day, is it really important that one focuses on that? So people might think, okay, this is one life, one chance we get, let us enjoy. So people have different definitions of happiness and bliss. Okay, I'll enjoy every part of my life. Choti si zindagi, small life, one-time life. I'll enjoy everything. So is that a bliss, or getting detached is a bliss? So there may be different definitions. What's the balance here?
So for Anandamaya Kosha, in a simple way, if you want to understand. So while I'm explaining the Anandamaya Kosha, I have given you an example, right? So when we say Omkara, so when we do a proper Omkara, at the end of the Omkara, we feel happy. So that is a way of Anandamaya Kosha. Another one more example I can give you is when we show an ice cream to a child, we can see a smile in her face, in her or his face. That smile is Ananda. That smile can be incorporated with the Anandamaya Kosha.
Thank you, Dr. Hari. So for your replies to the questions are also to the point, more meaningful, and so that's really interesting. So this topic is very interesting. Each kosha can be discussed for almost a day. So I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Hari Shankar for a wonderful presentation, and yeah, on behalf of Easy Ayurveda and on behalf of our wonderful Easy Ayurveda family. This has been an enlightening session and also a session which throws light on so many other factors than what we physically treat an individual at our clinics. The knowledge of this should be at the point of thoroughness for an Ayurveda practitioner or whoever. So the physical, mental, and the spiritual planes, everything shall be attended in a comprehensive way. So that is where we not only give relief, cure, but also we can create a pathway of giving that bliss what a person is searching for. Bliss can come in different forms. If we can help certain people who are searching for that and be a part of their journey and help them explore the point of bliss by healing these different koshas, that will be wonderful. So there are yet more connections like Dr. Hari Shankar said. We can discuss that in future platforms, like their connections to the chakras, the nadis, and all those things. What Hari Shankar sir was mentioning, that will be yet another interesting session. So we will see if those discussions come up in our way in future. So with that note, thanks to Dr. Hari Shankar. Dr. Hari Shankar, your final words before we close.
Thank you all. I hope that I was able to convey this topic in a clear and a soft manner, so that I hope that all of you might have understood what this introduction or what Panchakosha is. Thank you, and I hope that I was able to answer the questions appropriately. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Hari Shankar, and thanks to all our wonderful participants for being here like every time. So for your support, for your involvement, for your interactions, beautiful questions, and for your patient hearing and everything, making our Gurukula and Gurubodha sessions a wonderful sessions to be there. A big thanks, namaste, and lots of love from Easy Ayurveda. Namaste.
Thank you, sir.